Welcome back to another episode of Forbidden Depths. I'm your host, Queen Frostbitten, and we're here today to get down, dirty, and sultry by staying open, educated, consensual, and safe. If you're returning, welcome back to another episode. Thanks for supporting the channel and its growth. If, of course, you're new here, make sure you follow, like, and subscribe, because one taste will never be enough. Awesome. So welcome back to another episode of Forbidden Depths. Today we have a very amazing, delicious individual. I'm going to go ahead and let him introduce himself because no one can do it better.
Hi, I am Mr. Errotic. That's what I go by on Twitter and OnlyFans and all of my content services and everything like that. So, hi.
Very nice. Now, if you don't follow Mr. Errotic over on Twitter, he did mention he has Twitter. You can go to @Mr. Errotic, and that's with 2 R's.
Yes.
And I'm going to tell you, I've been following him for quite a while, and it's worth the follow.
Well, thank you.
100%.
Glad.
So let's go ahead and kind of talk about who Mr. Errotic is. What does Mr. Errotic do?
Mr. Errotic does just photos that make me feel sexy and things that when I look at them, like, you know what, I can envision myself getting off to this. So this is what I want to put out into the world. Like I want it to be able to turn on as many people as it can, I guess, right. Or whoever would like to be seeing it and whatnot. So yeah, of age, of course.
Of course, 100%. And I'm gonna tell you, if you go on over to his Twitter page, he posts all kinds of like free teasers and stuff and super supportive of the community as a whole. I can honestly say that I've enjoyed my experience following. So 100% recommend.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Now, I do want to kind of talk about, you mentioned OnlyFans a little while ago. Is OnlyFans your primary? Is that your most, like, I guess, enjoyed content outlet, or do you have others?
Right now for like my premium stuff that I'll post full nudity in, or just like videos of completion and everything like that. That's for my OnlyFans, and I like putting that there because it's like more of a separate area where I could possibly make some money off of it if people decide to go and buy the product. I usually will post a free preview and everything to Twitter because I know that I have a much more of a following on there just because it's more of a lively platform for now. Right. But I am looking at possibly reopening my old Tumblr and just revamping it because that's coming back around, and with all of the stuff happening with Twitter, I'm like,
I seen that. I was like, I don't really use my Tumblr, but I was like, maybe I need to start logging in.
Yeah, I stopped. Oh God, I stopped because I was on that like Super Hulock, all that shit. I was in all of the fandoms, and I stopped kind of in high school, and then eventually they got that to the point where they banned porn and any sort of adult content at all, and a lot of people left. And now that it's like, I guess, coming back, or so I've heard, I think people are starting to flock back because of many reasons going on.
Yeah, for sure. I seen that trend too. I seen quite a few people going back to Tumblr. Now I'm all for marketing everywhere just because I mean, not everybody's on one platform, right? And you want to make sure you appeal to the majority of, well, everybody you can touch, you know?
Yeah.
And
I definitely, oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I definitely was thinking about like starting, because I had started funny enough, with all of the Twitter and everything, and like most of where I started was just with writing erotic stories and everything like that. and I tried to advertise that on TikTok back when it was just starting. Like I'd take screenshots of previews of my writing,
Right.
and just post it kind of there. And because there was like oddly a pretty large community in TikTok for a minute, and
Yeah.
then it got huge with everyone, and a lot of kids got on that platform. So I'm glad that it kind of stepped away from that, or at least I
Right.
stepped away from that because I didn't want to really advertise on there.
Right.
Um, but then I moved to Twitter and everything. But yeah, I definitely see the aspect, or like why it's important to do on multiple platforms, because one reason or another, or just you're not reaching your greatest audience. It's just a lot for me to tackle, I think,
Yeah.
and Twitter has been the easiest for me to grow as of
Right.
late.
Yeah, for sure. Um, with Twitter having the kind of, I guess, allowance for more nudity and adult content, I feel like it's definitely the easier choice for the majority of people in the industry.
Oh, I definitely agree. Yeah. Sorry, my partner made me a drink and it's very strong, but it's very good. Woo! Shit.
You needed that kick.
Yeah, Moscow mules hit different at 4 p.m. Woo!
Oh shit.
Goddamn. All right. So can you repeat that last bit just once?
Yeah. Yeah. I was talking about how Twitter is like, um, I guess more accepted among the community because they accept more of us. So we use it more as our platform to kind of get our name out there, kind of get our brand out there because we can be more of ourselves on there, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And it definitely feels like a place where I can fully express myself and post photos that
Mhm.
a couple years ago I might have been uncomfortable with looking at, and now I feel more not yeah, more comfortable with my skin than ever. Just
Yeah.
because I just have found this sort of confidence in going, hey, I'm gonna take photos that I like and I'm gonna post them. And if you like them, great. If you don't,
Mhm.
awesome. But I appreciate all of the feedback because
Yeah.
I'm an affirmations kind of guy.
Yeah. And it goes back with that. Don't just critique and give the negatives, but give the positives too. Like,
Yeah.
I've noticed with a ton of your work that it is the more like sexy kind of shadows, lots of light play. And I fucking love it because you don't see that many artsy males out there. Usually, all of the ones that I have seen, even in the professional industry, all they're worried about is snapping that picture of their dick.
Yeah, yeah, and that's definitely something that I've seen myself in all of the male content artists that I follow.
Mm.
And it's nothing against them at all, but
Right.
that's just kind of been the formula for the longest time. It's just like, well,
Yeah.
I've got dick, I've got butt. That's not really, there's nothing really else. And
Yeah.
I'm kind of going, well, I mean, with the the rising love for the comfortable bodies, I'm very happy for it because I'm like,
Yeah.
ooh, okay, I am kind of feeling a little more sexy now, and I'm seeing some more representation of my body type, and that makes me feel really
Yeah.
happy. Like with the Fenty shows and everything, like
Yes.
it's great. And my partner kind of gave me an idea because I kind of got into a rut at one point where I was posting that kind of content as well, and it just
Hmm.
was boring and it was repetitive. And I was like, I can only take so many angles of my dick,
Yeah.
and it's just not pretty in other angles versus this angle. Like I have a pretty dick, but it's like I don't want to display it all the time because that's
Right.
not what I am, and I'm not just pieces. It's everything.
Yes.
Um, and she kind of just said, hey, well, you should try and take more photos in the female gaze and just like take hair what Harry Styles does and add
Mhm.
dick. And I was like, that's a good
Yes.
idea.
Yes. I
And
fucking love it.
I just kind of rolled with that. And I mean, I've been playing with a lot of different fabrics and textures and moods and like setting up little things like in my profile photo where it's like I've got my morning coffee. There's nothing in that cup. That was at 3 p.m. I'm not drinking coffee, but like it adds a sort of level of a story to it without having to
Right.
put any words to it, and it's more of an art rather than just porn. And I like doing it that
Yes.
way. It's more expressive, I feel.
Yes. I completely agree. So I'm going to let you guys know, anybody that's listening, I too am a consumer of porn, like many other people in the industry. And I've subscribed to several males' pages. And I'm going to tell you, the only people's pages I stay at are the ones that give me more than pictures of their dick. Because, like he was talking about, I get tired of looking at the same angle
Yeah,
with just your dick.
like yeah, it's crazy that that's it's not that it's crazy that it's worked for so long, but I'm surprised that there isn't more artistry behind it because there's
Yeah.
so much artistry with uh female creators and trans
Yeah.
creators, and the cis men category has not been that
Yeah.
uh like decorative and imaginative
Yeah.
yeah, it just felt very medical and stale.
Yeah. I came to that conclusion too. And it's not that I don't like the male form. I
No, not at
do.
all.
It's a matter of I need more too. That's like, foreplay. Like you need foreplay. I
Yeah,
need
exactly.
that kind of shit.
Yeah,
Not just
like
here's the dick,
here's my
you know.
penis. It's like, oh yeah, well,
Yep,
kissing on
that's a
like your
penis.
ribs or something and showing, and like that's why I love playing with shadows too, because it can show that one little extra layer of detail that you might not
Hmm.
see come like in when one lighting, or if a lot more romantic lighting, it plays with a lot of shadows and darkness, and you can see strenuous parts of your muscles or your collarbones or
Hmm.
something like that. And just I don't know, in my little probably ADHD or TISM, some kind of brain, I need a little bit more of a visual appeal, and
Yes.
seeing curves and shadows and edges and shapes helps me really articulate what it is. And like having dick print versus just straight dick, leaving a little bit more imaginative
Yeah.
things, it turns me on more. So I'm like, well, you know what? That's what I want to put out there.
Yeah. And that's the beautiful thing about the art of the industry. You should literally just be yourself and kind of put that out there. And then there's going to be more people that like it too. They will
Oh
flock
yeah.
to you when they find you. And if you're not pretending to be someone and you're being authentic, then you don't have a mask that you have to carry around. So it's not going to get heavy or boring for you.
Yeah. And you can just be who you want to be, and
Yeah.
and if people like that and they follow you because of that, then that means that you're doing something right.
Yes.
Yourself.
Yes. 100%. I completely agree. So that kind of leads me to my next question about kind of how you got in the field. How did you choose to get into sex work?
So it started in quarantine, I think, like everyone else. I had a lot of time on my hands, and I was just feral all the time for some reason. I don't know why. Like it just having to be staying at home and not
In
being
those
able to go
confined
out
spaces?
yeah, it just made it that much more intense because you're just sitting in this bubble, bouncing around the walls, wanting to fuck anything.
Hmm.
Because at the time I wasn't with my partner, and I was just like by myself. So I had always been really keen to writing and like sexting and writing erotic things. Um, so I knew that I kind of wanted to do that. And
Hmm.
when I was how old was I at that point? 20, I was 20 something, and I had started writing back when I was maybe 16.
Hmm.
um, just like Kick Messenger and Whisper and Tumblr, and just like writing out all these paragraphs of sexts
Hmm.
um, to get dismal responses. And I'm like, all right, well, I'll put my effort in somewhere else and I'll write it for myself and read it later.
Right.
Um, so I started posting that, and then that didn't really get anywhere. And then I was like, well, I'm masturbating all the time. I might as well put that on camera, see if I can make some money.
Well,
And
yeah.
I liked taking dick pics because they made me feel good for some reason. I liked being able to see it. And uh, that was also when I started kind of like discovering I was bi, was when I could get off to my own dick.
Hmm.
um,
Right. Right.
but it just like allowed me to explore a bit and post things that I thought was attractive, and it just kind of spiraled out from there and
Yeah.
snowballed from then. And now we're
Nice.
here. And after the getting stale part and kind of getting burnout, and switching and talking to my partner about it, now we're at this point, and I feel like my content is ever changing and fluid, and it's not really one thing. I do like
Mhm.
this style, and I'm always going to make things that turn me on, but I mean,
Right.
my music changes. My music taste changes daily, so my sexual taste probably changes by the second. Um,
Right.
so I wouldn't be surprised if my content changed again in another way.
Yeah. And I mean, that's the beauty about art. It
Exactly.
evolves.
Yeah. We have phases.
Yeah.
Although
And
all the artists have their blue phase, and we just have our dick print phase, or
yeah.
our thong phase or something.
Yeah, 100%. I completely agree. So, um, like I said, I've been following you for a while, and I've noticed that you do try to switch it up. You do try to keep it fresh. You try to move from different angles. And also, I wanted to ask, do you consider yourself a switch?
Oh, 100%. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I've
Because I
known
thought
that.
you were by the content you post.
Oh
It
yeah, yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, I'm definitely a switch. I think I've known that for a while. I don't
Mm,
recall exactly when I knew, because there was always parts of me that was attracted to the more dominant women or figures or something like that. But at the same time, I always hated having a boss, so it was very
mhm.
conflicting. I'm like, this is making me horny, but I'm mad.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it was a lot of that discovery, and I 100% love having that more feminine style, or that
Mhm.
more bottom style, or whatever you'd like to call it. I don't know what the word to say is. I'm also very high, and I'm getting drunker by the moment. Um, so pardon me if I'm just rambling.
No, you're
Um,
fine. You're fine.
but yeah, it was it's always been somewhat part of me, and I can want to get my back blown out one minute and want to
Mhm.
pound something into a cushion the next. So,
Yeah.
it's very by the moment too. It's
Right.
fast changing. It's wild.
Right. And that's the kind of beautiful thing about being a switch. Most people don't know. Anybody that's listening, if you don't know what a switch are, or switch is rather, it's literally you can play both roles, being dominant and submissive, depending on the environment, the people you're with. There's several factors, but more or less, it's you being able to change with your environment. So with looking and following Mr. Erotic for a while, I have noticed that he's switchy. And I'm going to tell you, my favorite are switch and submissives. So that's one reason why I started following you, just throwing that out there.
I'm glad. I'm glad it found the right audience.
Yes, yes. So I also wanted to say, um, I noticed in your bio, it's actually one of the reasons that I had approached you to be on the podcast. It's because you have so many assets that can be so inspiring to other people. So you didn't know that you were bi early on. You kind of found out later, and it was
Yeah,
through exploring yourself.
it was. Yeah, it definitely it was not a long journey, I guess. It was
Mhm.
very like abrupt to me in my own mind. Like I started looking at myself more,
Right,
and I started realizing that I was turned on by like those parts of me.
right.
Um, so I started like looking on Pornhub and Twitter, and started like kind of immersing myself more in that culture and
Hmm.
that style as well. And the more I watched and the more I was into it, the more I was like, oh,
Right,
oh man.
right.
Um, so yeah, I mean, I definitely know that I'm hyper picky when it comes to men. Like
Mhm.
I have a general avoidance of men in my life. I was raised
Right.
by women. I've always felt more comfortable around women. It's just how I've been in most of my life. But like that part of me of being attracted to the male figure and physique, and some very specific men.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely opened my mind and allowed me to be more of who I am, and that's just the raging faggot that I am today, and I'm proud to say that word. I love that word.
Yes. Oh my goodness. I remember whenever it was several years ago before I got into sex work, someone found out that well, they thought I was bisexual. I'm pansexual, but they knew that I was into women. So they were like, well, you're just a faggot. And I'm like, yeah,
Yeah, I
I
am.
am.
And that's the tea, honey.
Yeah, yeah. I fucking love it. I fucking love it. So that is the coolest, to be able to embrace and love yourself. And that's kind of where a lot of people get lost. They have these expectations that society kind of puts on them, these religious communities kind of put on them. And we want to create a safe space where people can come to and be like, you know what, I can go there. And it doesn't matter if I'm a faggot. It doesn't matter what I like. It doesn't matter if I just like it in at this time, or if I like it at this time. It doesn't matter, because whenever you come to the community, as long as it is consensual, it is of age, it is safe, we don't give a fuck.
Exactly.
Like, we accept and love all, because we know how hard it is to find yourself. And a lot of people are going to reject you when you find yourself. But we are an open community that is here for the therapy in it.
Yeah. We can all be each other's therapists because we all
Yeah.
know that we cannot probably afford therapy.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
well, we'll do our best and we can do it together. Someone's had to have gone through this before.
Yes, 100%. And that's the biggest thing. Hearing other people's stories used to kind of help me. Like, it made me feel less alone. I felt like there were other people in the world experiencing it. So it wasn't like, oh, well, this only happens to me. The universe hates me. Like, no, I'm pretty sure the universe hates us all. So
It's just a general like it does not give a shit.
yeah, yeah, that's definitely what I've determined over my
Oh yeah.
lifespan. So kind of looking back at you getting into sex work and kind of evolving your brand, what kind of strengths do you feel helped you evolve?
Mm. Definitely just having an open mind and
Mm,
like be willing to explore yourself and explore your partner's closet if you have a partner and you're blessed with being able to do that. And I
mm,
mean, just try new things and never turn something down, obviously like within reason. But I
right,
mean,
right,
never
right.
turn something away because of a stereotype or something like that. Like it's stereotypes are stupid.
Mhm.
Gender roles are stupid. Anything confining people to like any sort of bad ideal is I don't know. I'm talking out of my ass right now. I'm very
Oh,
high.
you're
I'm
good. You're good.
sorry. Um,
So, like, whenever you're talking about potentially sharing a wardrobe, you're talking about being comfortable in your own skin and everything. Have you ever ventured over to like panties, stockings, heels, things like that?
oh yeah, yeah. I think I have some content actually on my Twitter still of me trying or just wearing my partner's panties and stuff like that and just trying them out and seeing how they looked. And every time I put them on, I always go, "Man, my ass looks good. God damn it, my dick's in the way." And that's mostly just like every time I'm trying to take a photo in them or like, ooh, my ass looks great. Fucking balls, move. Just you're in the way right now. God damn.
It's like you gotta separate them one to each side.
Yeah, and that's not sexy because then you're flossing this weird sack of gum. Like, no, no one wants to see that. And if you do, message me and we'll find a good payment. But that's just weird to me, and I don't want to make that content.
Oh man, that's fucking hilarious. I'm gonna tell you that I do love your ass content. There are several photos on Twitter that
Ah,
I've had to re-scroll back to. Oh, what was that?
I'm
So
glad.
anybody that's listening, 100%, I suggest following Mr. Erotic on Twitter. and you can
Thank
find
you so
him
much.
at Mr. Erotic. 2 R's. Remember that.
Yes, 2 R's.
So,
Genuinely thought that's how it was spelled when I first made that name.
mhm.
And then found out later, and I went, you know what? I'm just gonna roll with it.
Yeah, just keep it. Yeah, just keep it. I
I
mean,
like it.
yeah, it sets you separate,
Erratic.
Yeah.
Gonna roll with the R.
puts yeah, puts stress on that,
Yeah.
So whenever we're talking about kind of your schedule, I know you said that you kind of got into being a performer, being a content creator because of COVID and other things that were going on. How is it different than a 9 to 5 job to you?
Um, oh man. I mean, I am blessed to be in a situation where my partner has allowed me to be more of a house husband and go and do gig work
Mhm.
for my own money, and that she would just kind of take care of the general household, and I am counting my blessings every single second of every day
Right.
because I know that that's not a lot of people's situations. But when I was in my 9 to 5 job, it was so taxing on my brain.
Yeah.
Just because I think it's probably some kind of chemical imbalance up there or whatever. I just could not wrap my mind around doing something the same thing for my life like that
Right.
every day, day in and day out. I didn't hold down a job longer than 3 months at a time. Like it was, I couldn't. I would just get physically angry, or not physically angry, just but I would feel my body heating up of just being upset or mad or just not wanting to go to work.
Right.
Uh, and it just was like I knew that that wasn't good energy to be around. I know that when someone's feeling that kind of way, and if you're able to pick up on it, people's energies, you can feel that, and it will affect your mood. So I did not
Oh
want to
yeah.
bring that into any of my workplaces. So I would usually just leave. Um, and the one job that I held down for like a year was a contracting job where I did nothing but pretty much be by myself for hours on end and work on my hands and knees. And when I was alone, I just twerk my ass around, and that was
Mhm.
fun.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
but when with sex work and everything, it allows me to wake up and like think about what I want to do and get excited for what I want to do because it's something that turns me on. And looking at it that way, I feel in my perspective is healthy. And the second I start to look at it in a way of this is my job, this is or not this is my job, but like this is I have to do this for my livelihood, I won't enjoy it.
Right.
Um, and as long as you can enjoy what you're doing and find ways to make it fun or like make it just about being as horny as you are, because I'm a hypersexual person and I thought,
Yeah.
well, I'm jerking off quite a bit, I might as well make money on it.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
it just it helped my brain kind of categorize it in a lot better ways because it fit into things that made me happy as
Right.
well as possibly making money off of it and making a livelihood and getting to show my art to the world and express myself in ways that I wouldn't be able to walking down the street or in my day-to-day life
Right.
because it's not possibly accepted.
Yeah, I was actually talking to someone previously about that. I wish that they would decriminalize sex work as a whole because if it could be regulated, people would be more safe.
Oh
And
my
then you
God,
wouldn't
yes.
have all these terrible stories about how people got attacked or how someone got taken advantage of. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've heard like horror stories from people in my life in the past that they had all these envisionments of the queer community or the sex work community, and they were really happy and they were very trusting and got into a really dangerous situation really fast.
Yeah.
And it was a really hard time to get out of it.
Yeah.
And just knowing that people have to go through that just trying to be who they wanted to be is heartbreaking and sad, and I wish that it was safer, honestly. And it's yeah, I just wish that it was more welcomed and helpful.
Yes, I completely agree. That's actually why we made the channel. So
Yeah.
the podcast, my goals for the podcast are to educate, spread acceptance and awareness, and let people know the positive side. Like, sex work brings so much to your life, so much to you as an individual. It helps you be more round as a person. You can express yourself in so many different ways. You can literally give yourself therapy as well as helping others. And it's just a beautiful thing. Like, everybody has desire. Anybody that tells you that they don't, there's something wrong with them. And I'm not saying that as a bad thing. Like, there's literally something in their brain that isn't like normal human drives, because any human being that has a like normal functioning brain is going to have some kind of sexual drive at some point in their life.
Yeah.
It's just some people are more so, just like you were talking about being hypersexual.
Oh yeah.
There are plenty of people that are hypersexual. There's some that are maybe early on, maybe their teen years or whatever, and then as they get older, it kind of dies off. But that all goes back to how many chemicals their brain produces at that moment and kind of how their brain ages. So I guess most people just don't understand that. And I have found that people that have some kind of traumas early typically are more hypersexual.
Oh yeah. Yeah. There's been a lot of therapy things that I've read or just like studies that I've read about that. And
Mhm.
TikTok will blast that in my face from time to time as well, where
Yeah.
it's like, hey, are you horny all the time? You were probably have fucked up as a child. And it's like, yeah, yeah, and it tracks.
Yeah. And I mean, it's not a bad thing. It's
No.
literally a form of therapy for us. I know that like for me, I can remember I started masturbating and knowing what I was doing at 8 years old. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
and it's one of those things, some of us, we have different coping mechanisms. For me, that was a coping mechanism. That was a way for me to kind of edge away from the trauma that I experienced and be able to turn it into something for myself, and away from like abusers kind of situation.
yeah.
Because whenever you're
And
younger, it doesn't matter. You can't consent. Whenever you're a child, you can't
no,
consent.
no.
And as you get older, it's one of those things that you have to find the positive, the good coping mechanisms. Some of us develop good ones, some of us not so good ones.
Yeah,
I would much rather develop a hypersexual behavior than be on drugs.
100%. I mean, drugs aren't bad in moderation. Um,
Yes, that's the thing though. People use them so much as a crutch because they want to dull everything. You know what I mean?
exactly. Yeah.
And if you're looking to dull everything, then you're not happy in life for some reason. And that needs to be changed.
Yeah. And
You know?
that's on therapy.
Yeah, no. If you're completely dulling your senses, that's not therapy.
No.
So that kind of leads me to the question that I was going to ask about your childhood. Did you have some kind of trauma, whether it be mentally, emotionally, or sexually, whenever you were either a child, a teenager, or an early adult?
Um, I don't think not like any specific thing that I can remember. I did have just in general semi-traumatic childhood. Like I
Mhm.
was in a very um not abusive physically but mentally
Right,
household. I was in a very my mother was is very vindictive, and
right.
growing up it was a lot of just everything was my fault kind of thing. So it was more of like general layers over time adding up
Yeah,
to my whatever trauma, I guess.
yeah.
But I definitely remember like using masturbation as a coping, because
Yes,
even chemically it's a boost of dopamine that if you're not getting enough dopamine
yeah.
throughout the day and you're generally not a happy person or
That's
getting
exactly
that
right.
dopamine that you need, that just is a guaranteed boost and you feel that every time. So
Mm-hmm.
it's completely understandable that when you're like not happy at all or having a day-to-day life of
Yeah,
monotony or being tormented or just not being happy, you go home and you jerk off six
yeah.
seven times a night and then go to bed.
Right.
It's just getting your rushes at the end of the day, or getting enough to fill your quota
Yeah.
to be able to keep going, I guess.
I completely agree, and I did the same thing. So, whenever you have someone in your life like that that is either narcissistic or borderline narcissistic because of these traits that they've been taught, it is one of those things where it affects everybody around them negatively, and they probably have traumas that they don't know how to deal with because people don't talk about mental health. They
Oh,
think you should
no.
push it under the rug.
Yeah, especially people of our like our parents' age and that
Yeah,
generation. It's not something that you talk about. It's not something that you bring up at the family table or even with your partner.
yeah,
If there's something that you don't aren't feeling met with or something like that. And when you don't talk about those kinds of things with the people that you love, those people will leave or worse.
yeah. Yeah, or
It,
the relationship becomes so toxic.
exactly.
Like, it's terrible. And I can remember every time I take on a new partner, okay, I'm poly, so I can have multiple partners.
Yeah.
Whenever I take on new partners, I always tell them communication is key, and I'm probably going to talk to you and communicate and over communicate so much that it hurts your feelings at some point. I'm not going to apologize for that. I apologize if it hurts your feelings, but I'm not going to apologize for over communicating
Or
because
for expressing your feelings.
yeah, because I never had that. As a kid, I never
Yeah.
had that. I couldn't just talk to somebody. And I seen the toll that it took over all of my family and my friends, people I knew, because nobody talks. Like, I'm from Kentucky, okay? In Kentucky, men aren't allowed to have feelings, people aren't allowed
Nope.
to express themselves. If you're in a relationship with somebody, always look at the positive stuff and never really talk about the bad stuff, just kind of pretend like it didn't happen. Well, I'm not going to do that
Keep it
shit.
under
Fuck
that
it.
rug. Yeah, fuck that. No. That's terrible. That is stupid. That is the worst way to handle any sort of situation ever. No,
Yes.
do not stuff it under the rug.
Yes. I
Talk
completely
about it
agree.
when it hurts.
So that's kind of what's going to lead us into to the next question that I have for you. I know you said that your partner kind of encourages and helps you with all of your work, which is super, super awesome. Do you have
Yes.
anyone outside of your partner that kind of helps you and encourages you to be
Yeah.
involved?
Yeah, my honestly my friends have
Okay.
I I am kind of not selective with who I choose to tell, but I make conscious decisions of who I tell
Right.
in my friend group, hey, I do sex work, if I bring it up in conversation. Um it's It's always been generally pretty good responses. I can thankfully say I haven't had any bad ones, but I
Mhm.
do have some people that I don't feel like I want to tell anytime soon because I am concerned about it being not a great response. So
Right.
I am thankful for the friends that I do have that are very supportive. We we just actually came back from a weekend with one of our friends. We stayed in a cabin, and I went and made some content while my partner and them were just like hanging out in the house. And I came back, and the friend was like, what were you doing out there? And I was like, oh, I went and made some content. And they were like, that's fucking awesome. Hell yeah. Like, yeah, I took my dick out in the woods. It was cool.
One with nature.
One with nature, you know?
Yeah.
I took a bowl out there, I smoked, I breathed, and then I took out my camera.
Yeah. Yeah. And what's really cool is you can literally do that with any aspect of life. It's not like there's only like one kind of set content that you have to make. Whenever you make your brand, you can make it whatever you want to make it. So if one day you want to go out and take your dick out in the woods, you can do that. If you want to
Yeah.
go, take it out in a hot tub, you can do that. If you want to go, like, the imagination is whatever you want to make it when it comes to making your own brand. Um, I see a lot of people that try to get in early, like they think that once they get into sex work, they automatically have to go to like these high dollar, like spend thousands on a photo
Yeah.
shoot. You're not going to make that kind of money starting out.
No. You
So,
can't go and buy a brand new Sibian or like a full fuck doll right off the
Yeah.
bat to start your content. No, you start with your phone on your on like your camera phone
Yeah.
and some good lighting and just learn how to use that editor on the photo app. Like literally,
Yes.
that's still what I do to this day. I'm still using my iPhone and just editing it
Yeah.
in there. It's they look, I mean, they come out pretty good. I think they
Yeah.
come out pretty neat.
Fuck yeah. I can vouch. Um, but it's one of those things where some of the newer people that get into sex work, I've had this happen to me. So many people approach me and they're like, what should I buy to start out with? And I'm like, what do you mean, what should you buy? And they're like, well, I want to get into it and I want people to buy my stuff. I was like, well, if you want people to buy your stuff, it doesn't really matter what the background noise looks like or what it
Yeah,
sounds like. What's gonna matter is the amount of effort you put in, the consistency you have, and making sure you're not putting yourself in the hole in the first 3 months and then you give up.
yeah, and you're screwed. And it's like, well, I
Yeah.
put all this money in and I got burnt out because I didn't get the results I wanted immediately after getting this big investment.
Yeah. And let me tell
Yeah.
you, that is that is fucking hard.
Oh
And
yeah.
whenever you're looking at it at a business aspect, you can be sure that within the first year you're not going to turn a profit. And if you want to be safe, say 3 years. 3 years is whenever you're going to be making some kind of profit. Before then, do not invest a lot of money into it. After
Not
that
at
third
all.
year, consistently, you should be making a little bit of profit.
Yeah, I think honestly the best advice I can give anyone who's wanting to start is just start doing it as a hobby. Like
Yeah.
just do it passively and try and find your groove or what you want to do before
Mm-hmm.
you even put a dime into what you're doing.
Yes.
And at that point, when you do start putting in money, do not put in a lot. Just start putting in very small amounts. Like all of the clothes that I buy for making content, I thrift that shit. I
Yeah.
don't go buy anything new. I'm at the blue bins searching through there with my rubber gloves and I'm looking for stuff. And it
Right.
I find some awesome things. I
Yeah.
mean, it's it's not hard to save money.
Yeah.
It's not hard to go cheap and make it look good. You just got to put in the effort and like just find what you want to put into it.
Yes. Exactly. And like we were talking about a minute ago, art can literally be whatever the fuck you want it to be. Like
Yeah,
change your angle, fix the lighting, and just go with it.
but honestly, just like so many when the time that I had spent on Grinder, the amount of change that it could have done with just a simple lighting move or like
Mm-hmm.
an angle change would have done wonders. And it's not hard. Just
Yes.
take look at a few photography courses on YouTube for free,
Mm-hmm.
and you can easily find some great composition tricks. I mean, rule of
Yes.
thirds. You've got the tic tac toe on your screen and everything. It's not that hard.
Right. Right. Yes, I completely agree. So let's kind of talk about I know that all of your work is primarily online. You have your OnlyFans and your other websites. Do you ever plan on going like mainstream and getting involved with other content creators and doing more than solo work?
Oh, I yeah, I mean, I've my partner and I have discussed it, and I mean, she's in some of my content on behind paywalls.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, that's her only stipulation is if people see her, it's gonna be for money, and she's gonna get a cut, and I'm like, that's
Oh,
fair.
oh yeah, right.
Um, but yeah, we've discussed that, talking about filming with other people, or bringing them into the bedroom with us and filming with them, or
Mm-hmm.
something along those lines. And I'm still coming around to the thought of like filming with someone and it just being me with that person filming and my
Right,
partner not being involved. She has told me that that is okay, but I'm still working on that in my brain and being okay with that myself.
right,
So I think that's something that would be down a ways, but that's not something that we haven't talked about.
right.
So yeah, I could definitely see that in the future.
100%. So, um, do you do traditional monogamy or
Yeah,
partner?
for between her, well, okay, not traditional monogamy. Her and I, relationship wise, are closed, and we are. It's been a year. We've already planned our wedding. I
Oh,
mean, we
congratulations.
thank you. But yeah, we know that we are each other's forever, but
Right.
both of us are adventurous sexually,
Mhm.
and we're just we're open to the idea, or we have brought in people to the bedroom with us, so
Right.
it's more of a couples deal.
Right.
She said, well, I wouldn't mind watching you from time to time, but I'm still getting comfortable with that, I think.
Right.
um so it just takes, yeah, I mean,
Oh
that's
yeah.
kind of what it is. I don't know what you would call that.
You will find what you are. It's, well, like you were talking about, it takes time. It also takes a level of understanding and openness. And
Yeah,
then it takes open communication on everybody's part. And it sounds like you guys are doing a great job at communicating. I love that. I fucking love that.
I
Um,
appreciate that.
it's like one of those kind of power couple kind of moves. Not
Yeah,
everyone can do it, but it's a beautiful thing whenever you see it working.
it feels beautiful, and I am so thankful. And both of us are very likely to remind each other every day, like, man, we're just so lucky. And both of us are just like, yeah, holy shit. It's great.
I'm so glad, so glad. So, with talking about kind of your balance with your partner, you being the kind of stay-at-home husband, how do you do the kind of work-life balance?
I I'm still trying to figure it out, I think, because there are definitely times where um even now where I'm still like, I'm not in the mood to make content this week. I'll just
Mhm.
kind of stockpile a bunch. I'll just kind of
That's
hoard everything. I'll
smart
do a
idea.
bunch of photos. Yeah, I'll do a bunch
Anybody
of
that's
photos at
not,
once. I'll get just this manic hour of
mhm,
horny where I'm just like, I need to try on different clothes, different angles, different sun
mhm,
lighting,
yeah,
or I'll see something that inspires me and just take off for an hour and kind of spread that out over a few weeks.
yeah.
Um,
Which is super, super intelligent. Anybody that's listening that doesn't know what he's talking about, it's literally making a reservoir for content so that whenever you, maybe you're in poor health, or maybe you just want to do something that's not work and you have all this other stuff going on, or maybe you just need family time, maybe you just need a break.
yeah,
Stockpile content so you can use that at a later time. I like to use my Dropbox and I just put shit there and then I move it whenever I need it. What do you
yeah.
do?
I go, and recently I've been taking more photos with my actual camera, so
Mhm.
I'm happy with that. But I'll just kind of go and take all my photos from there, upload them to my computer, do a sort of rough glance out of everything, and kind of pick out the ones I like, throw out everything
Right.
else, and then just keep those in a folder and edit them as I go.
Yeah.
Like I'll get vibes one day for wanting to make something moody, or I want to make something more relaxing or vibe like, and
Mhm.
I'll change the mood of the photo and the editing, because I generally take the same, like, just I just take photos in one position and then I'll change the editing style to
Yeah,
change up different lighting moods and whatnot.
for sure, for sure. I've did that too. And I found that if you experiment like that, you might find something that you didn't know you liked.
Yeah, oh my God, yes. Yeah, it's so fun to just like thank God that where we live, it like has some natural lighting. Like all of
Mhm.
the photos that I've taken is all at our house. So it's really nice to just randomly be walking in the living room and go, "Ooh, that beam of light would look real good on my dick. I'm gonna
Right?
take photos right now."
Drop what I'm doing.
And exactly. Let me just drop everything and drop my drawers. Hold on. It's it's a lot of fun, and a few times I've been inspired just by like being horny and wanting to send my partner a photo or something, and then I'll go,
Mhm.
oh, okay, well, hold on, I have a few more ideas for this. I'm just
Right.
gonna do a whole photo shoot right now, and
Yeah.
I'm also gonna send you all of these. So here you go. I'm gonna post these in a minute.
I love it. I love it. I also love that all of your content that I have seen so far has been natural light. I am a natural light photographer, so that's why I get really excited whenever I see people use natural light because it's my
Yeah,
favorite.
it's so much warmer, and it's just so much more dynamic, I think.
Yeah. Yeah,
And it's
I would.
traveled so long to get here. I might as well use it.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. So, kind of looking, I know you said that you communicate with your partner and you have kind of this rapport that you've built up with them and with involving them into your work. Is there anything in your work that you, well, not anything in your work, anything that people have offered or tried to purchase and you've just not been into it, like a hard or soft limit for some kind of content?
I people have reached out to me to pay for meetups, and I just kind of turn those down because that's not
Yeah,
something that is interested to me.
right,
I don't want to welcome like a transaction into the bedroom ever. That doesn't
right.
sound sexy at all, and it would not be good for mental health, in my
Right.
opinion. So I tend to just veer away from that entirely.
Yeah. Is there any like fetish, kink, or just any conversations that you refuse to have with customers?
Um, I no, I mean I don't. I'm not into anything hurting me, so I would turn down anything like that.
Right.
Um, I'm not. I'm very sensitive. I'm squishy. I don't want to get poked. It hurts. A little playful, like tingly or stinging, fine, but pain, no, thank you.
Right.
Um, and I mean, I don't generally think I would shut people down very hard. It would be more
Right.
of I'd try to flow with the person and
Yeah.
be like, well, I don't think I'd do that, but I can offer this or something. I'd
Yeah.
very much probably pivot if someone came to me with a request that I wasn't fully comfortable with. Because
Yeah.
I'd still want
Good.
to give them some sort of like, well, you came to me for a reason.
Right.
I just don't want to do it that way. Can we do something that's more equal on both of our terrain?
Right. Which is, oh my goodness, I reiterate this all the time. Negotiation is a huge part of sex work. And it's one of those things where I guess not a lot of people have, experience with negotiating. So have you found that you negotiate a lot since you've been a sex worker?
Um, Not as a sex worker. I mean, I grew up having to learn to negotiate
Mhm.
fairly well because I was usually the one my mom would hand the phone to when the bill collectors called.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
I I learned pretty quick, like, let's just pivot, how about we do this and this and not that? So it's always been kind of ingrained in me. So I don't know. I don't generally notice it when I'm doing it.
Right.
Um, but I don't think I can't say that I've had to really barter or negotiate with anyone during sex
Mhm.
work
Oh,
like
good.
that. It's just something that I feel like I would do come the situation.
Yeah. Well, I can tell from the start, like, okay, guys, this is our first interaction.
It
Okay.
is.
I haven't talked to Mr. Erotic, besides a few texts, and I'm gonna tell you that overall, smooth, smooth voice. So if you have any audio requests, 100% recommend.
Thank you
Um,
so much.
you're welcome. And then whenever it comes to like overall chemistry. I feel like you are like a fucking chameleon.
Oh, 100%.
I feel like you can just adapt to shit.
I definitely can. And that's something I've known from a very young age.
Mhm.
It's just something that I think I learned from my grandmother. I don't really recall. It's just
Mhm.
always been something that's been handy to me, so I've
Right.
kind of honed it over the years.
Mhm.
And yeah, it help. It's definitely helpful.
Yes, 100%. And in sex work, it's extremely helpful because I mean, if someone's purchasing like text time from you and you haven't experienced this person before and you have to come up with like this big elaborate story, like this big fantasy for them, it takes somebody that is willing to kind of evolve throughout the conversation and
Yeah,
feed into it.
it's just a lot of it's a lot of yes anding.
Yeah.
Um, with anyone who's had any interest in improv, it's just that.
Yeah.
But do it more so in your brain and then think of the I don't know. That's always been something that's kind of ran in the back of my head at all times is I'll run through different responses to everything and kind of
Mm-hmm.
play them out each in my head. It's very much like Fallout or just a video game where I'm like, I see all the dialogue and I'm just waiting for the time thing to go down and pick one.
Right. Here's
Um,
my choices.
yeah, it's like ABC. Shit, fuck. Which one's gonna make my charisma go up? So it's definitely helpful, and it's also lended me a lot of help in making friends. And I
Mm-hmm.
like in school, I never had any problems with that. I was
Right.
always generally friends with the stoners before I even smoked,
Mm-hmm.
because they just liked me, and I was down with that. And
Yeah.
I kind of just slipped from group to group, so it
Mm-hmm.
was very easy for me to be able to talk to people and kind of get to know their vibe pretty quickly, as well as what I wanted to show them,
Right.
and or what I wanted to let them know about me, or let them tell me about them, or something like that.
Right. Nice. So that kind of leads me to what I wanted to ask you about as far as qualities. So, what qualities do you feel are super helpful when it comes to sex work?
Ooh, adaptability.
Mm.
Um, Being able to just go with the flow and know that sometimes it's someone's first time and sometimes they are just as concerned as you were when you started.
Oh, yeah.
And there are a lot of people out there who are very scared about anything involving sex work, and all you got to do is be patient and kind with people. Just
Yeah.
treat people how you want to be treated. And it's scary for everyone, especially if it's their first time, or
Yeah.
if it's something that they're not experienced with normally. Because this is something that we're used to because we're in the sex work all the time. But someone from the outside, you get and looking in, and they see just photos of everyone online and thinking, "Oh my God, that's out there forever." And it's like, well, yeah,
Yeah.
but this is me and this is my artwork, and
Yeah.
it's not something to be scared of. It's not taboo. It's just something that was for so long. We're still getting over it.
Mm-hmm. I completely agree. I completely agree. So, with that sense, what do you think sex work has taught you since you've been involved?
Definitely patience, and knowing that you're not gonna blow up overnight, and
Yeah.
you can. I mean, some people do, and that's great for them. I would be stressed the fuck out if that happened to me.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd want that. I'd want a general increase over time to kind of get accustomed to it.
Right.
But it gave me confidence. It gave me things about myself I never thought I would have known. Like, I have discovered so many different kinks that I have now that I didn't know a
Ooh.
year ago because I never took time to think about myself.
You're trying to
Like this,
you're trying to get the conversation spicy and exciting.
I just like I never gave myself time to try and think about what I wanted, and
Mm-hmm.
doing sex work allowed me to do that in
Yeah. You get to
many different
explore
ways.
yourself.
Yeah, and figure out, oh, I do like this, or oh,
Yeah.
I like doing it this way, or I like dressing this way. And I mean, I can confidently say that my wardrobe has changed significantly since I've started doing
Mm-hmm.
sex work, because I just feel more confident and I feel more comfortable in clothes that I like, rather than what is on the Levi's outlet window display
Right.
now, or whatever. It's just allowed me to be more comfortable.
Yes, I fucking love that. And I was gonna wait a couple more questions to pull out the kink stuff, but you kind of drew this one on yourself. So
Oh, you're good. No worries.
so tell me what you're interested in. What are your kinks?
They're ever changing, and I'm still discovering them. I mean, I I definitely the last one I figured out was, I think I like to be degraded, or not degraded, like catcalled.
Okay,
Um
catcall. Mm-hmm.
or the equivalent. What's that fucking word? I knew I wrote it down on my therapy thing. Hold on. I have therapy notes where I'm like, I need to talk about that with them. Or did I? Nope, I didn't. Cool. Anyways, that was, I think the last one was like just wanting, oh, objectified. That's the word.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um that one, I love the sensualness. My partner says that that's my Taurus in
Mm-hmm.
me. I love a nice, sensual, warm, cozy moment.
Yeah.
Uh, Feathers and like paddles and stuff. And a lot of fun textures and temperatures and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of sensational things.
Okay.
Um, I don't. I get like Switch. Most things
Mm-hmm.
involving that. I don't know. Like I don't. It's hard to classify what is a kink because it's like is saying that
Oh
you
my
played your ass
goodness.
a kink.
You know, you don't have to tell me that. I can remember so many years ago, people would always ask me if I was kinky, and I was like, no.
Yeah,
But
and
to
then
me, that's not kinky.
yeah,
But
and I'm
I
like,
would be telling them
that's
a story.
normal.
Yeah, I'd be telling them a story, and they're like,
Oh my God.
that's not normal. And I'm like, yeah, it is. And they're like,
Yeah, I
nah,
mean,
that's like super freak.
I definitely,
Uh,
according to uh my partner and other sources, I think I'm a bit rough.
yeah.
Um, my I mean, she has said on multiple occasions that she is sore for a few days, and then the last person that we brought into our bedroom didn't last longer than like 20 minutes because I guess it was too much, and
Hmm.
she had to tap out. And I was like, I feel bad, but I also don't feel bad at all. That was pretty cool, but I still feel bad.
Right. And I mean, it's one of those things where compatibility means everything when it comes to your interests and comes to your kinks. And if you're listening and you don't have someone to express yourself with like that, continue searching because I guarantee you there is someone out there that is compatible. Like
Yes.
just not in your immediate area, but there's someone
No.
out there that's compatible. I literally had to look all the way in fucking Texas to find my mate, the primary mate that I have now, because okay,
We're in
I'm from
Texas.
Kentucky. Huh?
We're in Texas because I'm
um,
also in Texas.
Nederland.
Oh, okay, I don't know that one.
Yeah,
Yes, that's I'm based out of Texas as well.
yeah. And well, he's originally from Ohio, but I'm gonna tell you that nobody in Kentucky knows what to do with me. They don't know at all. Um
No.
I remember, oh my goodness, I got to tell you this real quick story. I
Yes.
remember I dated this guy that was my best friend for a little while, and when we were dating, after the first time we had sex, he was scared of me. He's like, I have never
No,
had
my
anything.
God.
And I'm
Oh
like,
my God.
well, I'm not sorry because I have needs.
Yeah, and that kind
But
of makes me ego boost a little bit.
yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, the my this is
Oh.
a kind of short story to kind of bounce off that one. My partner and I were having sex one day, and I attribute it to being in front of the mirror because am just kind of witchy and thinking about that.
Hmm.
It's a weird portal, but we were having sex, and she is a Kegel master.
Hmm.
Um, she she broke my dick, uh, fully fully bent it in half, like bent it and got a kink and everything. Thankfully, nothing snapped, nothing was permanent, but it swelled up immediately, and we had to go to the hospital that night. Uh,
Damn.
so for a little while, I was like, I'm a little scared of your vagina. Not gonna lie. I'm not gonna stop doing anything, but I'm a little intimidated. And she told that story to everyone at her job, and every single person was giving her high fives. And they were like, that's badass. I'm scared of you.
My vagina
It's
can
not,
snap dicks.
it can. She has that record.
Oh, that's both entertaining and can be a little scary if you got a dick.
It is. It's like I mean, I've learned how to maneuver around the vice grip that he has sometimes on me. And it's just a lot of slow movements. And when she's pushing you out, I'm just gonna go out.
Right?
That's fine. I'll go. I'll come back in right after. But you need that needs to do something.
It needs to relax. It needs to calm down. Shit.
Yeah.
Oh, I fucking love it. I think that definitely deserves a high five.
Oh yes. Oh, she gets all the high fives that she wants forever because of that.
Yeah.
It's a combo of very strong vagina and
Mm,
very thick penis. So it's
mm,
like
mm-hmm.
it's a contrast.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
the
for
best
sure.
one.
Yeah, for sure. So that kind of leads me into the daily activities for Mr. Erotic. What does your day-to-day responsibilities look like?
Ooh, for myself, it's
Mhm.
mostly just making sure my partner's situation is the best that can be. She works from home, and I am always just trying to make her life as easy as it can be.
Mm,
And at the same time, I'm also doing what I want to do and doing what makes me feel happy and going and making my money.
right.
I'll take some photos, I'll make some content, and I'll smoke weed.
Yeah. Do you do custom content too?
I do. No one's asked me for any, but I do offer it. It's on my menu that isn't pinned on my profile because I generally switch my pinned.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's what I was looking at. I do see a very nice pin up there though, if anybody's.
oh, I don't remember which it is right now. I forgot what it is.
Oh,
Let me
well, I've been looking at it the entire time.
look. Which one? Ah, yes, that one. That one's a good one. The first one, the photo on the left is the one that my partner chose for the pin on that one.
Hmm.
'Cause she was like, "This is the best one. This is the best angle." I'm like, "All right, cool. This one go up." So,
Yeah.
yeah, I generally change my pin up and just try and keep it fresh. I was in a lot of like RT groups
Hmm.
for the time, and that got really taxing on me.
Oh yeah.
And that was a big part of my day to day.
Mm,
And it just took so much time and effort that I kind of stepped away from it, and now I'm
right.
doing more so just general RTs for RTs on media and doing stuff like that. I
Hmm.
think that's how I found your or that's how we found each other's profile. Or you found mine first and then I found yours through that.
Yeah, well, what happened was I had seen you in the suggested, and I mean, they know what they're selling.
The
So
algorithm knows.
so I I ended up finding you through suggestions recommended, and I went on your page and I liked a bunch of your shit. I was like, fuck yeah, I can support this person. So I started following you, and the longer I followed you, the more I enjoyed your work. So whenever I decided I wanted to do the podcast, I was like, this is an amazing individual because it's not like your content has depth, you know?
Thank you.
And to me, that
Good.
speaks for itself. So I'm like, it will be amazing to have him just for the depth that you offer. So that's why I started following you because you're like everything is just so rounded and I just love your work as a whole.
I'm glad. I'm glad that my artwork has reached depths.
Yes. And there's always room for growth and expansion and finding yourself more. It's just a matter of relaying that in your art, you know?
Oh yeah, and always being adventurous and wanting to try new things. Like
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of your content that I've looked at is very adventurous and very dominant, and it's so interesting and fascinating to look at, and I love all of the things that you do. It's got so many different like you can feel the mood through it
Mm-hmm.
and like the attitude that you give off. It's great, and knowing how to sort of like portray attitude through still photos is definitely a talent, and I'm glad that I guess that I have that.
Yes, you certainly do because I could tell just by the first like 3 or 4 posts that I looked at that you were a switchy motherfucker. And I was like, this is where it's at. I'm following him.
Yep. Yes, I'm glad.
So anybody else out there that you like switch kind of stuff, or if you just like art in general, I'm gonna highly suggest because it's not one of those, he's not one of those pages that you follow and it's just like, oh, random dick. Okay, cool. That's just another dick. No, like this is the foreplay, the lead up to, and I'm gonna tell you, foreplay is so much more enticing to me than the getting off. Like I need to be super warmed up. You know
Oh
what
yeah,
I mean?
yeah.
So your work kind of does that. It's not one of those things where it's just all like, here's my dick.
Yeah,
No.
no, because that's just the end. You
Yeah.
like you want the build up to it, and
Yes.
I'm glad that my work is being able to show off the build up, because that's probably the best part of sex in general. I love
Yes.
that part that the most. Like the
Same.
climb,
I completely
it's
agree.
great.
I completely agree. So that's going to kind of lead me to the last question that I have for you. And oh, and that is, was it easy to get your start in the industry? And what advice would you give someone else getting started?
I do remember it being a little boring at first. It didn't feel like it was going anywhere, so it was a lot of dedication
Mm-hmm.
and taking the time to know that this is not happening anytime soon. It's gonna take a minute,
Right.
especially with I think just trying to find your art as well. Like,
Right.
because when you start off, you're gonna think you're wanting to post one thing, and it's probably gonna change within the first year of doing it if you decide to stick with it for a year. You're going to go through changes. You're going to go through different emotions and times in your
Mm-hmm.
life where the art will reflect differently if you're putting that much of you into it. Um, if you're not, it's probably not going to get anywhere. I
Right.
mean, it just takes a matter of being exposed enough for your comfort level, as well as enough to be able to read it through the art, and just trying to express that part of you is going to be very hard. So know that, and know that it's going to be a little uncomfortable at first, and you it's hard to say don't post it for other people's recognition, because basically that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you have to know, I'm posting this for me, I'm posting this for myself, and the best advice I can give is start it as a hobby, do
Yeah.
it as like a journal. I mean, when you're feeling sexy and don't have a photo to send to someone, or don't have a someone to send a photo to, post it. Try and make
Yeah.
money off of it. I mean, build your portfolio, and know that starting off with uh, asking $20 for subscribers when you have zero content is probably not the best idea,
Yeah.
and knowing that you need to build a content following first before you can really start paying for it, in my opinion.
Right.
I just think it's a little, in my opinion, wrong to ask for a lot of money up front, without kind of showing off what you do and what you
Mhm.
are, and knowing what you are, and knowing your label, and selling that versus just selling, I'm the experience, you have to pay me.
Right.
uh, which isn't bad, because that's some people's like artwork, and I
Right.
mean,
That's a target
yeah, that's a
audience.
target audience. But if
Yeah.
you are targeting that audience, know that you're going for that, and target that,
Yeah.
rather than floating around that idea for a while. You got to commit to
Right.
something.
Yeah. For
um,
sure.
but yeah, I think that's my best advice is just hobby, start as a hobby, find the fun, and turn yourself on, because if you can't turn
Yes.
anyone out, if you can't turn yourself on, you can't turn anyone else on.
Yes. Confidence sells.
Yes.
That is what I have been saying for the longest time. It doesn't matter what you look like. Confidence sells.
It does.
That's
Why do
like,
you think so many more people are like more likely to get hit on when they're in relationships? They feel more confident, they feel more happy, and that's why it
yes.
generally happens.
Yes. I'm glad someone gets it. I'm glad someone gets it. Because
It's true.
I have seen so many people that are like, why is it now that I'm getting hit on? I looked for a mate for this many months or this many years, could never find anybody. And now that I'm married, everybody wants to date me. And I'm like, yeah, there's
Because
a
you're not looking.
reason. Like, there's a reason.
Yeah,
And it's one of those things where most people don't understand that whenever you find confidence in yourself and you can sell that, other people are going to believe it. That's like the social media bullshit, how people pretend that they have these big lavish lives and stuff. People putting that online and selling that, if that's all you ever see of them, eventually you're going to believe it, whether it's true
yeah,
or not, because that's their face. So they look confident, they look lavish. So that's what you're going to think.
exactly.
But we don't, I don't pretend. I'm just like, this is this
No, I
is
mean,
this
you
is how
just
the fuck
don't
it
it.
is.
That's how it is.
This is how the fuck this is. But I mean,
that's the attitude you got to have going into it, is this is my shit. I'm owning it.
yeah, yeah,
I don't
for
care what
sure.
people say because this is my art. Here it is.
That's it. And you have to be able to roll with the punches when it comes to the general public, because there's going to be negativity out there, but you
Oh
have
yeah.
to learn that that's not a reflection of you. That's a reflection of the people that it's coming from.
You got to look at it as an aspect of just like they probably are needing some healing, and
Mm-hmm.
they need some guidance or something, and
Yeah.
they're at a different point in their life than I am,
Yeah.
and they can go sit in their little sulky corner and be mad about something else. I'm not going to let it affect my
Yeah.
vibe.
Exactly. Exactly.
Just be a capybara.
Yeah.
Just vibe.
I completely agree. Thank you so much for being so amazing and
Well,
for
thank
being
you
a part of
for
Forbidden
having me.
Depths.
Of
You're so welcome.
course.
I love your growth. I'm gonna continue to support you and all of your work and hope that you make something fucking huge of it, because I want to see more people that are artsy, more people that have depth in mainstream, because I'm gonna tell you, it's refreshing.
Yes, it is. Seeing a lot more expression and different styles of art is so nice, and I love being able to see different points of view
Yeah.
on generally a very similar thing, because everyone has the same body. We all have a body,
Yeah.
and seeing different perspectives on it is so interesting, and seeing how people view themselves and how they feel beautiful is just amazing, and it's a great reflection. Um, and I feel blessed to be able to see it and experience it, as well as
Yes.
share it.
Yes. The diversity makes it so
Yes,
beautiful. Yeah.
I'm very happy with it.
I completely agree. Well, thank you so much for being on Forbidden Depths. Thank you guys for coming to another episode of Forbidden Depths, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Woo!
Hey, it's Queen Frostbitten again, your host. I just want to remind you that you can follow us on YouTube at Forbidden Depths. That's FORBIDDENDEPTHS. Or over on Twitter at the number 4 BIDDENDPODCAST. Remember to always stay educated, consensual, and safe. We'll see you on the next show.